we continue with also getting you more reaction to the news of the passing of former Cabinet Minister Pravin Gordhan. We are now joined via Teams by National Treasury former Acting Deputy Director General Ishmael Momoniat. Thank you so much for your time on the program. So, talk to us about the life and times of Pravin Gordhan, and just importantly as to how will he be remembered?
I think Pravin will be remembered as the man who, as a person who sacrificed his life for the country, not only in attaining our democracy, but in getting the right values and culture into the institutions of democracy. For example, the legacy that is left at SABC, despite the efforts of Tom Mayani and others to destroy it, what he's done to build a world-class institution. Secondly, to bring honesty and integrity into government, and to be a model that your job in government is to serve the people and not loot the state. That's what Pravin did. I've known Pravin from the late 1970s. We have been activists together. We learned a great deal from Pravin, from his pioneering of house-to-house work, mass mobilization. He was a leading, he was in fact the person, together with others in an Italian Congress, who put forward the idea of establishing a united democratic front, and effectively the mass mobilization around it that brought down the apartheid government. He was also involved in doing the constitution, and when he was Minister of Finance, in fighting state corruption, in understanding the concept of state capture by connecting the dots, because as Treasury we were seeing little bits of corruption all over the place, but we couldn't see the full picture because the president at the time himself was behind the corruption, together with the Guptas. And he made sure that we exposed the Guptas through the FIC's certificate of 72 transactions, and also encouraging Mr. Kibise Jonas to come forward and expose the offer of the Guptas. So Pravin was all about cleaning up government, which he then did as Minister of State Enterprises, where he did everything to try and get rid of the corrupt sitting at Transnet, at Eskom, at SAA, at Danel. And yes, it was a tough job to try and bring them together, but that's what he's done for our democracy. He was a giant, I think, in serving the people and sacrificing himself to doing everything to serve the people of South Africa.
And I want us to talk about some of your fondest memories of him at this stage.
My fondest memory, I think, of him, well, it's hard to say, there's so many. But certainly, I think when we were sitting in the Treasury, trying to understand how to connect the dots, that was phenomenal, where we had to work against our own president, who was looting the country, and we had to stop his looting. We had to deal with the nuclear project, where he was going to sell the country down the drain and indebt us. So those are my fondest memories, is to see the fighting spirit that Pravin had. And he had right to the end, because I was around in the last few days with the family and watching him fight and being so lucid in understanding the condition he was in, what he faced, and how he dealt with that also so courageously.
And also, how does some of his values, his principles that he so stood for, also inspire the next generation of leaders? Because we're also seeing a young crop of leaders also coming into the fray.
Well, and that's my hope. And I think he led by example. And that would show to the young people that if you get into the public service, you get in because you're there to serve the people, not to enrich yourself, not to loot, not to abuse the procurement system, that whatever you do, like he said at SARS, what's the higher purpose? And getting officials and public servants to serve the higher purpose. That was what I think has brought ethics, good ethics and integrity into government. And I hope that will be his lasting message and lesson to future public servants and ministers and members of cabinet, provincial legislatures, or municipalities.
All right, that's of course National Treasury former Acting Deputy Director General Ishmael Momoniat. Thank you so much for having this conversation with us on the program.